So now that you've created a test, you're going to have to create a class in which to put that test into. One thing about creating classes, you have, I do believe the number is 600 learners, quote unquote, for ClassMarker on a free account. That in itself should give you an opportunity. I mean, it gives you the idea how big you can make a class. So let's say that you're working at a decent sized school, and that there are several people teaching the exact same subject. You have the opportunity to create a quote-unquote class that encompasses all the classes that are teaching the same subject at the exact same time. Okay? It gives you that opportunity. The other way to look at it is the exact opposite, and the great way to express that is by looking at the ClassMarker front page. This icon, the symbol that they use for ClassMarker, shows you an idea how they would like you to use ClassMarker. Think of this as being your class, that you have different kids moving at different paces, learning different things at different times. You could create 5 tests for 5 classes for one of your periods. So, as a physics teacher, let's say I'm teaching traditional physics, and which I am, I could literally create 5 tests for that group and change the level of the questions from one group to the next group to the next group. And the interesting thing is the functionality of ClassMarker. If I see that a kid at the very bottom, at the one of the group that has some of the weaker skills is excelling and is moving beyond, I can literally move them up the chain until I get to the very top of that kid. Or vice versa. If a kid that's struggling with the material and isn't doing very well, I can move them down the chain, giving you an opportunity to differentiate a little more in your classroom. But anyway, I need to go in there and I need to create a class. So I'm going to go to My Classes. This is what that page looks like. And now all you have to do is hit Create New Class. So if I hit Create New Class, it offers me a class name. Now let's call this one Traditional Physics 1. Okay, so I've created a class called Traditional Physics 1. So that class is now listed over here, has tests and results, assign tests, and administer learners. Okay, so Traditional Physics 1 is now built, and what I want to do is I want to start by administering learners, which means I'm going to populate that class with learners. Okay, so no message currently left for this class. Delete all learners from this class. So at the end of the semester, the end of the year, you can reset it by just clicking that button, and it gives you back your 600 learners. Order them by last name, order them by first name. There are currently no learners registered in this class at present, and here is how you can batch load learners. You can upload up to 50 learners. Okay? Now read the instructions very carefully. This is probably the hardest part of running or to create learners, or of ClassMarker in general. Each name has a line of its own. Separate the first name and the last name by a comma. For example, this is the only method that'll work. Any other symbols other than a dash mark is not going to work. It's going to crash it. It's just going to say, oh, can't upload your learners. What I have found when I'm trying to upload learners and I'm running into problems is if I do it piecewise, if I only do 5 learners at a time, I usually can locate any kind of error that I have in the names. You know, one example is think about an Hispanic name with you know, like I'm trying to use an example of one of my classes that on your roster they have Torres Gonzalez as a last name, where it's Torres space Gonzalez. That space is going to cause a problem. So simply eliminate the Torres as a Gonzalez, and you've got yourself a learner. Okay? If you don't do that, you'll never accept it. It has to be one first name, one last name, with a comma and a space in between it. Okay? Anything other than that, and it won't work. Okay? So just take your time when you're putting in your learners. The next thing is to put in one blank password. So all of the learners that you put in this one batch will have the exact same password. It doesn't mean that it stays that way. Learners can go back through and change their passwords later, but initially they'll have all the same password. And once you're ready, once you've got all your batches filled in and you got your password, you can hit register learners. Okay? The other option to do it is doing it one at a time. This takes a little bit longer to do, but if you have the time, it's probably the best way to do it. If you have the time. I find that most of us don't have enough time, so I myself do batch learning. I print off my roster as a PDF from Infinite Campus, and I can usually just drop and paste. I have to do a little bit of editing, but it's not too bad. Okay, but once it's done, your class will be populated with learners. Okay, now from there you're going to want to print that out. You're going to want to print that list out so that you can give the kids their information. Okay, so once you've registered your learners, another page will come up. And you're going to want to either copy and paste that onto a Word doc so that you have that information, or simply print the screen, one or the other. That way you have that information, and then when you're assigning kids class marker assignments at the beginning of the year, hopefully, or whenever, all you do is you give them their account name, their first name and their last name, and there'll probably be some numbers associated with it, and their password. You just simply cut that out of a Word doc and then hand it to them individually. That way they have access to their password and their user ID. Now the other thing that you do when dealing with class marker is if a kid loses their password or their user ID, you have to go back through and manually reset their account. You can't go back and find their information. You can see their first name and their last name, but you won't be able to see their password. So you'll have to go in there and redo it. Okay? But that's not really that big of a problem. Okay? Cool? So that's how you administer learners.